And if you read a book about them, you might be inspired to know what you want to do with your life. Why reading's valuable, why it's so important, and why you should get a physical copy.
I wanted him to know, like, I was thinking about starting this, and I knew he was the absolute perfect person to start this with. We like to say that our bookstore is the least pretentious bookstore in America. If you just want to read trashy romance novels, like, we're gonna laugh with you about it, and you're not gonna feel judged at all.
And had no plan really of like how to make this happen. We just went up there. We've had more of a plan with the store, but
Well, the reason I wanted to interview you guys is that I'm a real advocate of reading, because I actually believe that if you're in college, you're trying to figure out what you want to do in your life, and there's a lot of people who do really cool things, and if you read a book about them, you might be inspired to know what you want to do with your life. And I think that's one of the most common questions that college students have is like, what the heck do I want to do 10, 15, 20 years from now? And they don't read. And I know what you guys are all about is reading and sharing knowledge, right? And that's why you started this, and we want to hear a little bit about that. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. It's like why reading's valuable, why it's so important, and why you should get a physical copy. That is a huge thing because there are literally statistics. If you read PDFs, ebooks, you just don't retain it as much. And then I'm a big advocate of spending the money on a book because if you buy the book, you'll read it. And if you read it, you'll benefit from it. I have a couple stories to share on that. So, but just start out, guys, just tell us where you're from. Give us your origin story. Like you guys lived in Texas, I think, right? So give us a little bit of that.
Yeah, so Tex and I are both from Knoxville originally. We have been friends since middle school. And
how'd you meet? That's a huge question.
In middle school,
yeah,
I honestly don't remember our first interaction, but I can almost guarantee that Tex was wearing a Karl Malone Lakers jersey when it happened.
there for 1 year.
So we became really good friends really quickly. We had a great close group of friends and stayed tight all the way through high school, college, went to UT. Both of us went to UT. When I graduated, my degree was in journalism. I moved to Texas and worked for a newspaper for 4 months. Realized I hated that job and the field that I had spent 4 years getting a degree in. So I moved to Austin. I got a job in advertising, which is actually what my full-time job still is. Tex works here full-time and I still have that job. But Tex moved, I guess you can pick up your part of the story, but basically Tex was in Texas. He moved separately a few years later. And then I moved back in 2020. I had 2 kids and a great wife. And
what happened to your kids?
I still have them.
Oh, you said I had 2 kids.
Well, she had them.
I'm just kidding.
We currently have them. So I have two
keep
children,
going. You're doing great.
Knox and Davy. They're 3 and 4. And my wife and I decided to move back to Knoxville to be closer to family. We love the area. She started a business called Fit for Mom West Knoxville. That's a mom stroller workout type business that creates community and stuff.
That's
so we
awesome.
Moved back. Yeah, it's really cool.
My wife would literally love that.
Oh, yeah. Like we meet people like around town all the time and she tells them what they do and they're like, oh, you're in the stroller gang at Lakeshore Park. And she's like, yeah, that's me. People, it's pretty wild. It's like 40 moms just running around Lakeshore Park with strollers. But we moved back. We were really impressed with the growth in Knoxville. The small business climate in Knoxville was really cool. And so I had started to think about things that Knoxville needed and seeing the success she had had with her small business. She and I had always dreamed about owning a bookstore, starting a bookstore. And Tex and his wife Morgan were in town around this time last year. Actually, things escalated very quickly. So they were here last November for a week or so. And I went back and forth about whether or not to tell Tex about this because I didn't want them to feel pressure or anything to move, but I wanted him to know like I was thinking about starting this and I knew he was the absolute perfect person to start this with because he's super personable, hilarious, runs all like the social side of things, has branding experience. So we went to Cracker Barrel where all big conversations happen.
Yeah.
And
big time business place.
Yeah. Breakups happen at Starbucks. Business partnerships start at Cracker Barrel.
That's right.
Put a plaque there someday.
So I basically just told him, I was like, hey, I have this concept for a bookstore. I'm going to do it. You're really the only person, though, who I know who would be like perfect for this. So I just didn't tell anybody. He was like, you know what? I'm going to sit on this for a month or so. Like before I talk to Morgan about it, then I'll let you know. 3 hours go by. He's already told Morgan and she's FaceTiming me. And she's like, are you trying to get us to move here? So I was like, no, I swear it's legit. Like show her the business. I emailed them the business plan and I was like, I really do have this idea together. Anyway, so he called me. They took a couple months to think about it. He called me this past January and was like, hey, I think I'm in. And from there, they moved here May 1st. Like, we found the building, and it's been really, really great ever since. Like, we've been super pumped about the response from the community, from the neighborhood, and people outside of the neighborhood. Like, we have regulars who don't live in Sequoia, who live in all parts of Knoxville. So that's been really fun, and seeing like all the local authors who have shown up. We've had like Jack Neely, who we love, like Knoxville History Project and all the stuff Jack has written over the years, has come and done a talk. Bill Bass, who's like a legend at UT for the Body Farm. There's been children's authors who have come, Katie Kate and Angie Eason. We've just really enjoyed seeing that take off so quick. I mean, we were just two dudes who started a bookstore. We didn't really know. But yeah, so last thing I'll say is we like to say that our bookstore is the least pretentious bookstore in America. So that's kind of our vision for it. Like you alluded to, we think reading's really important, but when you walk into a bookstore, there tends to be kind of a vibe in a lot of bookstores where you feel kind of self-conscious about what you're going to take to the counter, or a little afraid to ask for advice on what to read next. You do not feel that way when you walk into Bear Den Books. We make sure of it. Like, we're here to hang out. We'll give you a recommendation if you want it, but if you just want to read trashy romance novels, like, we're going to laugh with you about it, and you're not going to feel judged at all. And if you want a recommendation on...
We'll even wrap it for you if you want.
Yeah, we'll wrap it for you.
Knows.
We encourage all types of reading. So anyway, that's the vibe we try to create here is very laid back. And honestly, I think that's why we do a joke about college kids not buying anything here, but we get a lot of them because it's just a really fun, laid back place to hang out. And I think that people we hear that actually a lot from customers. Like, it's fun to walk into a bookstore and feel like it's more laid back. So we're the least pretentious bookstore in America.
Love it. Oh, so you heard a second ago here that they say they would wrap a book for you. So where's that Lily storybook? It's my wife's book, and we're gonna hear it live here for the first time ever. The text, Nick, mix, rap, Lily's story. Let's go. Let's hear it.
That's not what we meant when we said we wrap books, but.
That's totally what they meant. They're not talking about like plastic.
This is a heavy book to rap about, let me just say, because it starts off sad.
All right, 3, 2,
Maybe
1.
It should be more
Let's
like
go.
Beat poetry.
Lily lived in a home with lots of...
No, we're not doing that. That's gonna be sad.
It's like starting off with like how she.
Let me see that real quick. Let me see that. There's got to be one page out there that we can do.
I don't know, man.
It's a pretty sad book.
We're gonna pass on the rest.
Oh yeah, this is a. Oh yeah. Oh. Ooh.
Have you read your wife's book?
I've read my wife's book.
The more fun.
Hey, listen, it's an emotional. It's an emotional therapy book. It's to help children understand other children and quit being such bullies. Okay. She wrote it for a lot of good reasons. I don't know. This is the bully part is made up by me. Okay, sweet. Text. Like, tell us about you.
So, like Nick said, I grew up in Knoxville. Went to Farragut High School. We met middle school. I was wearing a Karl Malone jersey, and he did play for the Lakers for 1 year. And
what do you think of LeBron?
I don't really have any thoughts about LeBron. He's fine. Okay. I don't generally pull for it. I'm not a LeBron guy, but yeah, I grew up in Knoxville. I went to Lipscomb University for 1 year and did not enjoy it. It just wasn't for me. I wanted a big college. I wanted to be in a classroom with like 500 people, and so at Lipscomb I was in a classroom with like 20 people, and so I transferred to UT. Got to hang out with my friends from high school. Like Nick was a friend from high school. We had some other friends from high school, but we really became good friends in college. I feel like we would go up to the Smokies like every fall break. You know, we'd go on trips, and we went up to New York City on New Year's Eve to go watch the ball drop, and had no plan really of like how to make this happen. We just went up there, and that's kind of what we've done with this. We've had more of a plan with the store, but
Well, thanks you guys so much for being on the podcast. As always, follow us on socials if you're not. Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Most importantly, the YouTube channel. You guys subscribe on there. Check out my fitness company on Instagram at The Elevate Wellness. If you're interested in nutrition, training, becoming more fit, bettering yourself in that way, just hit that link. You guys can get a free consultation there. And if you haven't followed the podcast, what are you doing? Follow the podcast right now. Well, we hope this was somewhat entertaining, educational, informative, and added some value to your life. And if you enjoyed that, just keep on coming back for more. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.